breakup can be one of life's most emotionally grueling ordeals, and it's especially hard when it's a divorce. Now, we hit the streets to find out how you get over a breakup. Check this out.
My tip for getting over a breakup or divorce is to have a relaxing weekend away with your friends, to console them, to enjoy their friendship, and just forget about your relationship issues.
Is to go out and party a lot and spend lots of money on yourself.
Look for a hobby, something to give you time to not think about the other person.
Okay, lots of good advice. Relationship expert and author of the book, It's a Breakup, Not a Breakdown, Lisa Steadman is back to tell you how to get over it and get on with your life. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You and I had a chance to talk a little bit earlier, and we talked about divorce. You know, there's all kinds of breakups, but divorce sort of being the ultimate. I mean, I've been through it, and some of our friends here have been through it. And it kind of changes when there's a child involved, as in my case.
Yes, absolutely. Divorce is the ultimate breakup in a lot of ways, because you didn't just have a relationship with that person, you entered into a partnership. So you may have kids together, you may own property together.
Right.
You have things together that when you leave that relationship, it's not just the romance that's gone, there's so many other factors that you still have to deal with.
Right, and it makes it a lot harder I know in my case, it made it a lot harder to escape the relationship. You know, it's when you've got a little boy and you've got kids and stuff, you know, you can't just sort of bail altogether. You have to sort of keep the peace. At the same time, you want to establish your life. So you talk about establishing boundaries.
That is so key, because I'm a big believer that when you go through a breakup, your distance is your best friend. Distance from your ex. But when you have children, like you say, or when you're sharing a business or sharing property, or you have financial considerations, you can't just walk away cleanly. You have to still deal with it. So the important thing is to create new boundaries. Your ex is not the person to console you about the divorce. Your ex is not your shrink. You need to find other people to fill those roles, so you and your ex can deal with what you need to deal with, but nothing more than that.
Well, and Namwa, do you have a question for us?
I do, actually. I have a question from Bella.
Come on over.
To your point about kids, she's wondering, should you put your kids in therapy during a divorce, even if they seem like they're doing okay?
That's a really interesting point. I think you definitely need to have some kind of open communication with your children, and if it's something that they're not comfortable talking to you about, then maybe you should involve a therapist.
I know in my case, it was myself and my ex got into therapy right away, because, well, you really have to.
That's so healthy.
And a good therapist will also help you to talk to your kids as well. But another question I have is, and Nema, I don't know if you've been through this too in the same way, but I felt that there was sort of a big void in my life right after that, because you're so used to having one person. How do you fill that?
Well, it's hard, because when you've been married, you know who you're going to spend Friday and Saturday nights with usually. You know who you're going home to. And when your divorce ends, when your marriage ends, what do? You've got all this free time. You don't know what your plans are for Friday or Saturday night. And that can
also have a hole in your heart as well. I mean, you have that emotional void as well. You're used to kind of projecting your feelings in one direction, and suddenly that person to whom you project them has gone away.
Is gone. So you really need to fill the void with healthy things. I mean, we all do the emotional eating, we all do the crying, the wallowing, the pity party, but get through that as quickly as possible and create fabulous, fun ways to spend your free time.
I know I kind of felt, I felt very isolated in the beginning, because to your point earlier, you know, you're part of something. And then all of a sudden, you're often by yourself. And in my case, in the initial part, I was by myself. My son was with his mom. So how do you sort of fix that? I mean, I don't want to be alone. Should you involve your friends?
You absolutely should. You can't really get through any kind of breakup by yourself. Your first inclination is probably, oh, I want to be by myself and hole up at home and lock the doors and stay in my pajamas. But you really need to ask for help. You need to give yourself permission to ask for help, because it's too hard to do alone. And if you don't feel comfortable involving friends that you had during your marriage, maybe you don't want to deal with those people, then get a support group. Get into some kind of support group, because you are not going to be able to get through this alone.
You raise an interesting point there, Lisa. JB Parrothead in one of our chat rooms was actually asking, how do you choose between friends after a divorce? Because obviously maybe they were friends of the relationship and not just friends of you or your husband.
That is really tricky. You can't, you know, it's not like picking when you're a kid where it's like I pick you and I pick you and I pick you. But you really have to figure out the friends you made during your marriage. How are you going to deal with that? My advice to anyone is if your friendship with those people is based solely on the fact that you were a couple with this person you're no longer a couple with, maybe they're not friends you need to spend time with right now. Maybe you can reconnect with them later. But the friends that you had before the relationship, or friends that you make in a divorce support group or something, might be the people you really need to spend time with right now.
Yeah. We talk in the book about the actual breaking down. You have a tendency to sort of just fall apart for a while.
Sure.
And what can we do to avoid that?
I think it's okay to temporarily have setbacks and, like I said, to cry and emotionally eat and, really celebrate your slump, which is what I call it. But you have to remember, it isn't a breakdown. This is really an opportunity for you to break up from something that wasn't working and move on to a life that's better suited for you. And you're now free to really be authentically you. And that's what you should be celebrating.
Right. So maybe you're just saying goodbye to that part of you that was then. And
sure.
You need to find that part of you that's going forward. Look ahead, everybody.
Absolutely.
Lisa, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Information. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you so much.
It was very educational.
It was.
Very educational.
We've moved ahead.
We've moved ahead. Hey, listen, for more information on how to get over a breakup, go to iVillageLive.com. What have you got coming up?
All right, Guy. Well, of course.
Breakup. It's all happening right here, right now on